He is very clear about that. The president was really clear about that when he put out his statement earlier this week. He's been very clear about that. When it comes to his comments, as you know, we are very clear. As we know, prior presidents have not made that clear. That is important. But I want to be very clear. The president has been clearly in touch with congressional leaders and his administration, and now we're at a place where the president has been very clear. I want to be very clear here. The president has always said, and he has been very clear, and we made that contrast very clearly. The president has been very clear that. I want to be very clear here. I've been very clear.
State and not visit the border. Because there's a more important thing going on. They're going to invest billions of dollars in a new enterprise.
Would you like to see him visit the border?
I don't care if he visits the border or not. He doesn't need to visit the border to know we've got a problem. And sometimes we fixate on these little issues. Do you think the president doesn't know we got a problem at the border and what the issues are? I know he does.
But not necessary to see it firsthand. That's a little issue?
Flashback.
Do you have plans to visit the southern border?
I've been there before, and I haven't. I mean, I know it well. I guess I should go down, but the whole point of it is I haven't had a whole hell of a lot of time to get down. I plan on, now my wife Jill has been down. She's been on both sides of the river. She's seen the circumstances there. She's looked into those places. You notice you're not seeing a lot of pictures of kids lying on top of one another with looks like tarps on top of them.
End of flashback.
Thank you, Corrine. Kevin McCarthy says that he invited President Biden down to the border. How does the president RSVP? Well, we know the president's never been down to the border. The possible next speaker says that he wants him to go with him. So is he going to?
So look, he's been there. He's been to the border, and since he took office.
When did he go to the border?
Since he took office, he's been there. He's been to the border, and since he took office.
When did he go to the border?
Since he took office.
Wrong.
The President Biden has been taking action to fix our immigration system and secure our border, and that's why on day one he put forward an immigration reform, a piece of legislation to deal with what is currently happening at the border. But that we're not seeing that from Republicans. We're not seeing a willingness to work with us on fixing a situation that's been around for decades now. Instead, they're doing political stunts. That's what they want to do. That's how they want to take care of the situation.
Congressman McCarthy also said that it was the president who brought up the border in the meeting. Is that accurate?
I'm not going to go beyond the readout.
Did you take it as a good faith invitation to go to the border or something else?
I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to go beyond the readout that we provided yesterday.
1 week later.
Okay. What about in Arizona? I just want to ask you, he's going to that chips factory. Any plans in Arizona to go to the border and see for the situation for himself there?
So look, I want to be very clear here. The president's trips tomorrow is about the American manufacturing boom. Look, we should be able to reach a bipartisan agreement on immigration too, and that's what we're calling for, right? We're asking for Republican officials to come and work with us, and let's have a bipartisan agreement on immigration instead of doing political stunts, instead of doing what they're doing, going to the border, not actually coming up with any real ideas. About that. That's where I will leave it. That's what the president is doing tomorrow. He's going to go to Arizona to talk about an important initiative that's going to change Americans' lives, specifically in Arizona.
Just a follow-up on Edward's question. If the president is not going to make time to visit the border during his trip tomorrow to a border state, will he do it in New Year?
Look, I addressed this last week about the president visiting the border. I'm not going to go beyond what I just laid out. I think, and we believe, the question again, as I was just answering to your colleague in the back, is that what are congressional Republicans going to do to actually deal with this issue? instead of doing political stunts, many of the political stunts that hurt families, that hurt kids, that hurt children, right? That hurt people who are coming here to try to seek asylum, leaving leaving a dictatorship. Instead of going to the border and talking about things that not going to actually deliver and keep our border safe, why don't they work with us? Why don't they actually do something? Why don't they actually, help the president get the funding that he requested, historic funding, into the Department of Homeland Security? That's one way of doing that. But again, they're playing political games and doing political stunts.
The reason I ask is just because the president had said previously that he hadn't had a lot of time to get to the border. He's going to a border state tomorrow, so you think maybe there would be time there. And if there isn't tomorrow, can you say at this point that he...
What I'm saying is tomorrow he's going to actually focus on an issue, a bipartisan issue that was voted in Congress, the CHIPS and Science Act.
Next year, commercial operations are going to begin. And today, TSMC has announced a second major investment. They will construct a second fab here in Phoenix to build chips, 3 nano chips, the 3 nano chip. Chips that are 3 nano, and you know what I'm saying. Nano, no, I don't know.
Now, what I'm saying, the second part of that to your question, if Republicans officials truly want to deal with immigration, they truly want to deal with the border, then they would stop doing political stunts and actually work with us on the plan that we have put forward, which they are not. And that's what we want to make very loud and clear. There's ways to deal with this. Again, they can come and actually do this in a bipartisan way, just like we did with the CHIPS and Science Act.
Soon after.
State and not visit the border. Because there's a more important thing going on. They're going to invest billions of dollars in a new enterprise.
Would you like to see him visit the border?
I don't care if he visits the border or not. He doesn't need to visit the border to know we've got a problem. He's got people that report to him every day about what the problem is. And sometimes we fixate on these little issues. Do you think the president doesn't know we got a problem at the border and what the issues are? I know he does.
But not necessary to see it firsthand. That's a little issue?
I think he knows it's got to be addressed. He's gotten the reports. He's seen the photos. So that's, at some point, he may or may not go, but I think he knows what's got to get fixed, and you've seen him begin that process.
The president was asked as he was leaving the White House if he was going to go to the border. He said there were more important things going on. Can you clarify those remarks? Was he being dismissive?
Happy to. Oh, absolutely not. I just laid out a couple moments ago, when the president first walked into the administration, the first thing he did was put forth a comprehensive immigration reform legislation. So that showed his commitment to dealing with that issue. Look, the president was clear that his top priority is investing in the American economy and in American communities. And he's focused on out-competing China and bringing back American jobs from overseas. That's what you're going to see today. And so if anyone believes that the president shouldn't make that his top priority, they should say that out loud.